There are a few words that might be bogging your manuscript down, and simply deleting these or rephrasing them can make your writing so much stronger. Watch this video to find out whether you've got a tendency of using these and how you can easily fix that. Let's go. Welcome to The Plottery, where I teach writers just like you how to make storytelling become second nature. Greetings, guys. In this video today, we are going to be talking about the 7 types of weak words that you can cut out from your manuscript, and it won't make a difference. Actually, it will make a difference. It will make your manuscript so much better. Before we jump into that, I do want to announce today is the day that my 3 workbooks for writers are launching. So you can get these right now if you go into the link in the description box. So these are the Plotter's Almanac, which is the workbook where I teach you how to outline, and you get all these really good questions and really good outline templates that you can use, that you can fill out yourself. Plus they are customizable, so you can actually put your own graphics and your own colors on them if you want to. I've also got the Character Bible. So the Character Bible, obviously you get amazing character sheets, you get 3 different design versions, again, fully customizable. You get character questionnaires, you get a step-by-step instructions on how to craft your characters. It's honestly like one of my favorite products that I've done so far, and it's so useful and it's actually really affordable. So definitely take the opportunity to go and grab those right now. The last one is the World Builder's Chronicle, which teaches you step-by-step how to build your own story world, and it's got a plethora of like world building questions that you would ever need to answer if you were crafting a fantasy story world, for example. So those are available right now, and you can go and grab them in the description box. You can get all 3 of them in a set, or you can get them separately, any which one that you would like to. But if you get them in a set, I think it is 3 for 2 pricing. I think that's how he said it. So it's a really good grab. It's honestly one of the best things I've ever done, I think, apart from my academy, of course. But this is really just like a super useful resource for you if you are starting out as a writer. Okay, now let's jump into the video, and we are going to be talking about 7 weak words. Now I've got my phone here, so I'm going to consult myself. Now the first thing that I do want to say is actually that these rules are mostly just for narration. So don't take these too seriously when it comes to dialogue. Dialogue is a whole other thing. So dialogue is the way that your characters speak, and so any which way that you want them to speak is totally fine. Like, there are no rules for the dialogue. If there's a character voice that you like and that you want to stick to, that's totally fine. What I'm saying is none of these rules are applicable to dialogue. We are just simply talking about the stylistics in your narration and the stylistics of you as an author. The first thing is filter words. So what are filter words, you might be asking? Now this is an umbrella term. This is any word that is sort of filtering an emotion or filtering a sense through your character. It usually doesn't need to be there. So these are words like see, hear, feel, think, realize, and so on. So these, most of the time, they're completely redundant, and all that they are doing is adding to the word count, or they're making your sentences wordier where they don't need to be. Yeah, getting rid of these will help you kind of vary your sentence structure, and it will also help you keep an active voice in your narration. So I'll give you a couple of examples here. He felt his throat tightening. Now, this might seem totally fine, and it is totally fine, but if you get rid of that filter word of he felt his throat tightening, you could literally just say his throat tightened. Isn't that so much simpler? Isn't that so much better? And then we have another example which says, I saw the man walking across the street. Now, this sentence implies that your narrator is the first person, right? I saw the man walking across the street. So thinking of it in a logical sense is your readers already know that we're in first person and that everything that we see through this character. So you don't have to say, I saw the man walking across the street. You can just say, the man walked across the street. And that's it. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is really, very, and so. What these words do is they're usually a signal to you that you could use a much stronger word in its place. So a stronger adjective, a stronger verb, a stronger adverb instead of very something, really something, right? So we'll go through the examples and this will become clearer. So if you say someone's running very fast, you just say they're sprinting. A lot less words, and you get your point across very easily, and the imagery is actually a lot stronger. You know, when you say someone's sprinting, I think you can much easier imagine that than someone running really fast. She looked really pretty. she looked gorgeous. So when something is very cold, it could be freezing. When something's really big, it could be giant. And when you say I was so happy, you could say I was ecstatic. Number 3, the word almost. Almost is almost never needed in your narration. Either something happens or it doesn't happen. So what the word almost does is actually paints a very unclear picture of what it is that you're actually trying to say. So we don't know whether things did happen or didn't happen. We just know that they almost happened. And so then you have the image in your reader's heads, but the action didn't actually happen. It just almost happened. It's confusing. So instead of telling your reader, I almost fell over, which is very vague and it doesn't really serve to paint any imagery whatsoever because we don't actually know what happened, you could say something a little bit more concrete like, I tripped over the exposed pipe, but I caught my balance in time. And that immediately paints a much clearer image in your reader's heads. Number 4, breathing verbs. Now, I'm a culprit for these as well, but things like breathe in, breathe out, exhale, inhale, sigh, stop breathing, hold back a breath, or let out a breath that they never knew they were holding. Now, these can be very overused and very distracting for readers, and I'm totally at fault with this myself. I'm still struggling to work through this, but just kind of make yourself aware of why you're doing it, when you're doing it, how often you're doing it, and whether it's an issue. I would recommend only using these when it's actually important for the character in that moment. So, if they are really frustrated, you could allow yourself a sigh or something, but I think the more you use the breathing verbs, the less impact they're going to have when you actually need them to have an impact. Now, one thing I do recommend to have a look at is the Emotion Thesaurus. And I don't know who the author is, but I will link a little picture right here so you can see what I mean. It's actually a book written for writers that kind of helps you portray different emotions with your writing that isn't telling what the emotion is and that isn't only using breathing and stuff, that they go through like all the other sort of physical actions that a character might take depending on what emotion they're feeling. So it's a super useful resource and I highly recommend it. Okay, number 5, dialogue tags. Usually you can do dialogue completely, entirely without dialogue tags. Now, I'm not talking about the whole set is dead debate. I don't agree that set is dead, not at all. You can use set as much as you like, just putting that out there. But what I'm talking about is just a general use of taglines. Overall, you don't always need it. If you feel like you need your dialogue to be punchy, don't slow it down with dialogue tags. Dialogue, especially if it's only between 2 people, can work really well if you just establish who the first speaker is, and we already know who the second one is because we've been with them in the scene so far, and then you just let the dialogue run. And if your character voices are strong enough, this shouldn't be an issue for your readers at all. They should be able to make out who says whatever line of dialogue. So I think this is something that is also really good to practice in order to really amp up your skill with writing character voices. Okay, number 6, I don't have that many fingers to hold up, but number 6 is start and begin. Again, most times these words are completely redundant if they precede an action. So instead of saying she started to run after him, you can say she ran after him or she took off after him. Both mean the exact same thing, both are less wordy, and they get to the point a little bit quicker. And the final word is thing. So in the context of describing objects that are actually difficult to describe, a lot of authors just resort to saying some kind of part of a thing, or they will tell you an adjective like a bulby thing or a like pillar-like thing or something like that. Now this, it comes off a little bit amateurish and it can kind of take you out of the action of whatever is happening, especially if you're writing a serious novel and then you just throw a kind of a thing there, right? So yeah, be more specific. If you don't know what thing you are talking about, try to imagine something that's similar to that thing and then compare it instead of using the word thing. If you, as the author, don't know what thing you're actually talking about, then it's going to be very difficult for your readers to imagine it as well. So if you're trying to describe something, a location, an object, something that is not really easy for you to describe, do research on it and make sure that you can visually see this and that you can visually describe this. That is all of my words for today. Do you have any of these in your manuscript? Is this anything that you struggle with? I would love to know how you feel about this, or if you have any other words to add that you found have been completely redundant in your manuscript. Do share them in the comments below, and check out my little 3 interactive character plotting, world building books in the description below. That was an amazing sales pitch. I believe they are called, what did we call them? We called them the Writer's Toolbooks. That's it. It is a pun. The Writer's Toolbooks. So go and check those out. Grab those in the description below, and yeah, go ahead and write on, and I will see you on the flip side.